Welcome. We're thrilled to have you with us. And so I look forward to what we have to offer today. But we do have some new people in the room. So just to reintroduce myself, or if I haven't met you, introduce myself. I'm Virginia Lazenby. I'm a Certified Senior Downsizing Coach and Realtor.
Check that image. Sure.
And people often go, what is a downsizing? So my focus in real estate over the years has really evolved, focused on seniors. Originally, you meet Jeff in a minute. Jeff helped me with my website. We really focused on people moving here for retirement. But over the years, I just saw such a need when people are selling their homes, often to move perhaps to a smaller home or to an independent or assisted living community or with family. And when you're going from home ownership into a smaller place, that's a big move. Lots of changes going on. And I just would see people struggle with it. And I thought, okay, we need to have more assistance. And I knew there were people who could help. But I didn't have them on speed dial on my phone. And anyway, fast forward over several years, then I became a focus. So I now have a separate business for my real estate. One of the sponsors will see it, but just to explain. Seniors Living Smarter Services. And that is our downsizing business. What we do there, and you can visit with me afterwards, I'll be over at that table. But the whole idea of downsizing, a lot of it is the sorting and organizing, getting rid of stuff that we don't have room for at the next place. And so we have a great team of people that can work with people on that, on the move, getting set up in their new place, liquidation, getting rid of the stuff that you no longer need or have space for, and then property prep to get your house ready to sell and ready to be clean, especially in this market. But we keep all that together. I become the project manager, the coach to the senior and to the family. And instead of saying, well, go here for that, then go there, then go there, we become the central hub. I bring in the people who can help. I was just meeting with a woman we've met two or three times, met with her daughter Monday. And it was just so much fun to watch the daughter go, you mean you all will coordinate and we don't have to help mom move? You got it. Oh, sign up, mom. That's it. Yeah. But we really, so I just want to explain that. And these seminars are not marketing, there's more marketing than I usually do. The seminars are informational. In my work over the years, I've just seen such a need for people to have more information, accurate information. We often hear that, I'm not going to go live with those old people in that old home. When talking about independent living community, that probably has more active people than the person speaking. But anyway, basic facts and how can support be provided and so on. So we started these seminars. This is actually our 7th year. And of course we did do a year and a half virtual, thanks to the pandemic. But we've been back live since January of this year. And just to note, I always want to remind people that all of those seminars are recorded. Jeff Kemp, as I say, works with me on marketing and he's become our AV tech person too. We record them and they'll be up next week on our website. So if you want to revisit, or if you know someone who's interested in the topic. So all of our seminars since April 2020, I think, Jeff, are on the website.
Yes.
So anyway, so that's just a helpful piece of information. But again, the purpose of the seminars is to educate, equip, and inspire seniors to make informed decisions and empowered choices. You are in control and we want to support you. Look, Dan, you just come in and you already, believe me, I know you and Nancy.
Be quiet, yes, I know. Well, I've at least got my mask on.
We're glad to have you here. So, anyway, that's what we're committed to. We have invited select services, resources to serve seniors who would be educational partners with us. You'll have time to visit with them at the end. You saw their tables when you came in. Oh, help me with your name from Wesleyan.
McHugh.
McHugh.
Just think of McHugh.
Okay, is representing Wesleyan today. A lovely name, I just haven't figured out how to pronounce it. He's with their community engagement and so on. And for those of you who may not be familiar with Wesleyan, which we've lived here very long, I don't think there is such, but of course they have their communities from independent assisted memory care, skilled nursing, rehab, plus hospice care, plus home health, home care. Now, and so they are here to be a resource. You can visit with him. We appreciate you being here. Next to him is Stacy Scarborough with Visiting Angels. And in fact, in our topic today, we'll be referencing that. We're talking more about the home environment. But of course, Visiting Angels has been in Georgetown a long time, providing home care. And stop by and visit with Stacy. Next table, Senior Living Smarter Services. That's our downsizing business. Debbie Brockway usually works the table. She couldn't today, so I'm going to scare her over there at the end to be available for a variety of questions. And then the next table is, who's next over there? Oh, okay. So I'm kind of skipping our panelists right now. I'll come back to you. So then there's, I guess we go on over to North Star. So Patricia's with us for North Star. North Star is a new, year old, I guess, 55 plus community. And we often talk about the different types of communities. So she can answer questions not only about North Star, which is out on University, Westinghouse.
Yeah, Westinghouse.
Okay, just on Westinghouse, just past 1648 Avery Grimes, whatever it is. And so we appreciate their support too. Vera Bank may be able to be joining us. Will Boughton, an asset manager, financial advisor with Vera Bank. They have a real community commitment to serving seniors. He often has a meeting that sometimes conflicts, so he may be able to join us later. So those are who we call our educational partners, and hope you will visit with those that you need. Their information is in your notebook, and if you come across a need and you have a neighbor who is in need of some of these services, there's your resource. Okay. Next thing. While I'm introducing people, I mentioned Jeff. A big thank you to Jeff who helped set up this. And there are always little challenges along the way. Bear with us. And then we have Brielle Gard, who you met at the door, and she is our wonderful administrative assistant and more. And she has some personal stories to tell too from her in-laws about getting your house ready for aging in place. Okay, I know. Most importantly, to thank you for being here. And I really think you'll gain information. Often it's, wow, I already knew that. Well, good. Give yourself a clap on the back for being informed. Others may say, gotta think about that for a while. So that's what we're here for. Oh, okay. So we encourage you when you come to the seminars, hopefully before we usually run out of time, but when you leave, to think, okay, now this was interesting. You know how many of us, we go here to a seminar or whatever, yeah, I should do that. Good idea. You walk out the doors, and I don't know what it is, but you're ready to go get lunch, and yeah, well, okay, I'll mention that later. But we encourage you to take action steps. Okay, now I'm going to, let me soften it a little bit. I want to see who is here for the first time. Okay, raise your hand up high. 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. So you're off the hook on this next question. There's some of you who been here before. We're not here last week, but here, this is going to be interesting. Okay, who was here last month for our discussion of decluttering? Okay, all right. Hands down, or I should say leave them up and then Who followed through with their action step? Yay, Catherine. Lori. Okay, Bonnie. All right. Well, you may have buried it a little bit. So, yay, that's great. So, just be prepared. Want to share with us what your action steps were or what you did? Catherine, what did you do?
Generating shred, the documents, checks from the 70s, college notes, all kinds of papers, insurance forms, and couldn't make the shred event, but
I didn't think I saw you there. Okay. All right. So, but that is such a freeing time. I'm getting sign language from my tech coach here. A number of you were there at the shredding event, and that was a good way. Others, this really got me to at least take some steps. That was good timing, Chip. Am I right now?
Yes, I think so.
So we had a fun event. How many of you came to the shredding event on Saturday? Yeah, Jeff worked it, that's right. Giselle, Ryburns were there, some others. And I owe a big thanks to Jeff and Brielle for working outside Saturday when it was a little unusually warm for early May, which we seem to be struggling with this year. Anyway, we'll do one again probably in the fall. Okay, next part, I just want to make sure I have your notebook. If you're new to seminars, you should have received your notebook from Brielle. If you've been to the seminars before, you received the packet at the table to add to your notebook. I love the notebooks. They started because so often people would say, yeah, I keep saving my information. I've told my kids if they ever need to look up anything, it's right here. So we decided to help people out a little bit more formally with this notebook. And your material is always 3 holes punched after the cute little rainbow color divider for each month. So each month you're here, you get a packet. And we hope we really enjoy providing information. Sometimes our panelists contribute to that. We will also be doing a follow-up email, and usually resources are identified that we add to that. So I hope you have your, another thing with notebook, use your hard surface to write on when we're not at tables. Okay, so those are one other housekeeping thing. If you're new, the area restrooms are down this hall. I will be inviting our panelists up just in a minute. And in fact, they can come ahead and be making their way up here. We will go to roughly 11-ish, we'll kind of see, and then we have some, we'll have not formal presentations, dialogue presentations with our panelists. And then about 11, we'll open it up for questions from the floor. So while you're listening to our presenters, and a question comes to your mind, as I always say, when you're ready to raise your hand and ask your question, put your pen in your hand and write down your question so you'll remember it at the end to ask. I mean, I can answer it anyway. But, so that's kind of our, the way we operate. Got 3 great panelists with us today, so I'm going to invite them to come up. Now, are we positioned okay?
Yeah.
Good.
He's in a race.
What?
I'm sure he's first to last.
I meant to do a Van of White demonstration. Introduce our new chairs. I am so excited. We decided, let's just bite the bullet and go ahead and get the chairs that may be easier to transport than some of the others, but you all are the first to sit in our special chairs.
And they are aging in place because they are high. You can get in and out of.
And we have this ongoing discussion about the little foot part, because when you put the foot part on, you can't fold it up. And so you definitely do not need a footrest. Bill really didn't need it. Megan probably likes it. So it can be comfortable. Okay, so we'll let Brielle know. She's trying to decide how's the best way to handle that. So anyway. Hi. Okay, I am excited about our 3 panelists today. Megan has been with us since some of the previous years. So we have an occupational therapist, a certified aging in place specialist and some other things associated with that. And we had someone represent, I want to make sure I get the title right, representing veterans. You're with Williamson County, kind of a liaison. I think it's so he can maybe help get things done for people. He's not here to answer all your questions about VA. His role today is to help us with there's the possibility of some funding that might be available to people if they're making home modifications. And he's also going to talk about the can support home care. We gave you a little extra space there. Okay. So, the topic is your home ready for aging in place? We usually do, especially on aging in place, and there's so many factors involved. You know, we say, okay, well, let me ask you, what does aging in place mean to you? You know, why did you come today? What is it? Who's great? Who would share with us what you think about when you hear the term aging in place? Lori is determined to stay in her beautiful home, which I understand, Lori. Okay. Anybody else? We often hear, yep, I'm staying in my home so someone carries me out in a box. Literally, I've heard that.
That's me.
Of course, that may be, they don't want me to talk to them as a realtor, but someone's going to have to sell that house sometime. Others, you know, so I think a lot of us aim for aging in place. How can we make it safe, secure, and for as long as possible? I just am going to put it out there. There may be times, situations that may cause us to take a little detour from aging in place, whether it be temporary or more permanent. And this is a neat lead into next month's seminar. I know if you looked at the early list, it was aging with dementia. And there were reasons why last fall I thought that was a great idea. Over the year and others, these really come out of discussions with people I'm working with. I just saw, I wanted to broaden it. So Jeff and Brianna have been working on that. The title is Aging with Our Challenges. And so we're going to cover a variety and, you know, from what type of living arrangements. A big topic, one of those we don't like to deal with. I know people are going to go, I didn't like that seminar today. Not this week, next month. It made me, you know, uncomfortable. But what is our plan A? Everything's going to go smoothly. But sometimes there might be some hiccups along the way, some unexpected changes. And how do we, you know, consider options, be prepared? So that some of the topics we'll be talking about next month. But back to today. So I'm going to ask the panelists to introduce themselves, do a quick, like 30 seconds or so elevator speech, and then we'll go back and fill in. Okay? Oh, I'm passing the mic today.
Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Megan Frazier. I am an occupational therapist. I have a private practice here in Texas. Excuse me. I do aging in place evaluations, and I am also a driving instructor. So I do comprehensive driving evaluations for people to determine if they need to modify their driving. Yes, don't throw things at me. So that is the other part of my practice. And then I'm also an instructor at the University of Mary Hardin Baylor's Occupational Therapy program.
And I'll put the plug in. Megan received a special honor this year. Occupational Therapist of the Year in the state of Texas.
Wow.
And I hope to be able to do a car fit and do some more hands-on stuff. We had one going, but then COVID came and other interruptions, so we're going to keep working.
And if you guys are curious about the CarFit event, at the table over there I have a little brochure about CarFit. If you've never heard of it, it's a great free event for in-vehicle safety. It's not an evaluation to determine if you're fit to drive. It's how to fit the car to you so that if you were in an accident with the would your seatbelt hit you correctly? Is the, if the airbag goes off, is it gonna hit you in the right place? Things like that to keep you safe. So it's keeping you driving safer and keeping you safe in the vehicle. So we're really excited now that COVID has kind of, you know, gone away a little bit, and we're gonna include the UMHB students as well, so we'll get to see some university students for that.
So sometime we'll be getting information to you about that. Bill,
My name is Bill McHugh.
remind you, if you can't hear us, wave to us. Well, no, you're not really waving, but you're singing. We need higher volume or speak into the mic. Okay.
All right, so I'm in the building industry. I've been involved in this industry for 20 plus years. Prior to that, I was an engineer at IBM. My dad was a builder, so I grew up in this industry. But probably the last 20 years I've been focusing on, they originally called it aging in place, and they called it universal design. But really what it's about is it's really about meeting people where they're at and looking for implementing safe components in their home so they can stay there as long as they can. So it's nothing that you need to do immediately, you don't need to do it all at once, but that's really been our focus for the past 10, 15 years. We've worked with occupational therapists. We really got into this through, I took a class because I had to do continuing education. The class was with a bunch of nurses, and so they told me, we have a real big need for this, and we need to help a lot of people. And so I think the first couple of projects we did were with people that had dementia, some people with Lou Gehrig's disease, just all types of stuff. And you know, and even with my own mother, it was just a matter of really understanding where people were at and how to help them navigate where they need to go to within their current environment. Because most people don't want to leave their homes primarily because of the independence and the safetiness that they have, and they just think it's a hard move to get people out of their homes. So we have a lot of those discussions with our clients, and it's really all about trying to meet you guys where you're at. I mean, and we do that in our own home. So the cool thing about universal design or aging in place is it's not for one specific group anymore. It's for everybody, and that's for active adults. It's for everybody. So when you're modifying your home for aging in place, it's across the board. So that's really what we focus on, in addition to regular remodel, and that's all our company does is remodel, and we don't do new construction. We just remodel areas. So.
When I first visited with Bill a few weeks ago, I've been trying to find someone who I thought really we could connect with, really from the kind of builder perspective. And a few years ago, I had someone, and I just didn't think I had the commitment. And I loved visiting with Bill because his commitment to seniors, the personal experience he's had with his mother going through a lot of changes, and it's not just having these designations. He really, truly wants to help people. And you see you're on the board, or you have been on the board of
No, I am. I'm currently on the board of Family Elder Care and Lions Garden, which is mostly low-income senior people that we work with. And it's the same thing. We're just helping them we're trying to meet them where they're at. We also work out at, Community First. I don't know if y'all have ever been out there, but that's a really cool place to go visit if you ever have a chance.
Okay. All right, Eric.
My name is Eric Medford. I work for Williamson County at the Veteran Service Center. I'm also here with my director. His name is Juan Amaya. He's new to this position.
Morning, everybody. Good morning.
At our office, we help veterans apply for VA benefits. We do the counseling and the paperwork for you. We are off of the Southeast Inner Loop at 100 Wilco Way. Please drop by if you are a veteran or a family member veteran. By the way, do we have any veterans in the audience today? Oh, great. Great. Our family of veterans, thank you for your service and your sacrifice. I am a veteran myself. I've been in the Navy Reserves for 15 years, and I'm new to this role. I joined in February. I transferred from the Sheriff's Office, and I was a corrections officer over there. But I do enjoy helping veterans and their families, apply for benefits. And I'm happy you invited me here today, so I can talk about some benefits that we offer.
Yep, that's right. So we appreciate that. I know we're trying to figure out what his position was in the county, but I think he's an ambassador for the VA. I hope. Okay. I want to pick up before we we go into Megan's assessment part, when Bill was talking about meeting people where they are, and it's kind of like, how do you just incorporate environments that are safe for aging in place, but that also means they're safe for anybody. Cheryl Helpney and I were at lunch yesterday with a friend. They were visiting when I joined them, and the friend was saying, oh yeah, I was just talking about our bathroom remodel. She goes right ahead. She said, yeah, so we have this for a roll-in shower, so it will, accommodate a wheelchair, and I think the toilet area, and And at first it was like, wait, I haven't seen you in a couple months. Have I missed something? Are we in a wheelchair now? Or your husband? Oh no, I just want to stay in my home. And so I thought, wow, that was a good eye-opener for our seminar today. So tell Hannah I told her story. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead. Megan, I'd like for you to tell a little bit about your kind of home assessment, or not just that, but just what things are we looking for very, very generally. Then we're going to have Bill talk a little bit more about modifications if we have to do more of that, and we'll kind of go back and forth, and Eric help us figure out for the veterans if he can get some assistance. And anyway, okay, Megan.
All right. So who knows what an occupational therapist is? So about most of you. For those of you who do not know an occupational therapist, we're kind of the overarching of the therapist. We look at the big picture, but then we also were medically trained. So we look at what's going on with people physically, cognitively, their vision, hearing. We look at, is whatever is going on with someone at this point going to change and progress over time, or is it something that's stationary and just normal aging? So an occupational therapist's job in the role of a home evaluation and aging in place is to look exactly what everyone was speaking about, is where are you right now? And what do you need to stay in the home at this point? But then also, what is going to happen in the future? It may be 5 years from now, it may be 10 years from now, hopefully it's 20 or 30 years from now, but we don't know. And what are the factors in your life that may impact your ability to age in place? So as an occupational therapist, we kind of look at and we take in all of these different components, but the most important part is what's important to you. Where are you coming from, and what do you want to continue to do at home to manage that independence, but also to keep that joy in your life, right? We want to be happy, we want to be content, we want to be engaged. So the occupational therapist's role is to find out what's important to that person and make sure that their home meets that level of importance. For some people it's gardening, some people it's cooking, some people it's being able to get into their bathtub and take a bath at a long day. It's different for everyone. So that's kind of the role of the occupational therapist, is to really meet the person where they're at and assess the situation in the home to find out how can we keep them in the home and living a independent and fun life for as long as possible. Because that is really important.
Oh, I just interject. So I really am glad you clarified that. Sometimes we have these preconceived notions of what roles are, but I know when I've had both hips replaced and revisions, thought it was so much fun. But when the occupational therapist would come in, it was very limited. So I did not have a good understanding of what occupational therapists did. And the more I visited with Megan over 2 or 3 years, and the breadth of what they can help with, it's pretty amazing.
So I'm going to kind of walk you through a kind of a personal journey for me of what a home evaluation looks like. My parents live in New Jersey. I'm flying out this afternoon to New Jersey.
You're going to put this in place.
Yeah, to physically pack up their home and move them to Texas. So my father, from a personal standpoint, has mild cognitive impairments, so the beginnings of dementia. So that is something that I need to consider for them. They live in a house with stairs. My father loves to garden. That is his thing. My mom tasked me with finding them a house, sight unseen, for them. Which in this market is a little insane. I'm not gonna lie. So for the past 3 months, my husband and myself have been touring 50 million houses in Texas, looking for a house for my parents. And my poor realtor would look at me because I'd walk into the front door and I'd say, can a wheelchair fit through this door? Are my parents in a wheelchair right now? No. But my father has a progressive condition and I need to know if I need to, can they get into the house? Are there steps? What is the garage like? when I walked in, is the hallway wide enough for them if they needed to do something in the hallway? Is it a single-story home? I didn't look at any two-story homes because that's just not appropriate for them. Is the kitchen accessible in wheelchair? Are there places for them to sit down? Is there going to be room at the dining room table that people can walk around or a wheelchair can get around to them? If my mom needed to empty the dishwasher, are there places for her to pull out the drawers in the dishwasher and set things so she doesn't have to carry things that are heavy as she's getting older? The bathroom, is it handicapped accessible? My mom is obsessed with showers. I don't know why, but I'd walk into a house and she's like, nope, that shower is too small. You can't put a seat in there, I do not want it. So as I was walking into the bathrooms, I'm walking like this. Because I want to know how far are the doors? Is it too narrow? When they get out of the bed, how far is the distance to the toilet? Because unfortunately, as we get older, we have to use the bathroom a lot in the middle of the night. So how far is that bathroom and that toilet? Reality. So my realtor, I think, thought I was nuts. Because I was like, we don't want this garden tub because they never take a shower. And we need that additional space that if they need to sit down when they get tired, or if my dad gets confused and needs to reorient, he can sit down. They're gonna have family visit, who are also older. So I was looking at secondary and third bedrooms of, okay, well, if other family members were coming to visit, could they access what they needed? I have nephews. I have a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old nephew, so it also needs to fit them as well. We went out into the backyard. The house we did end up purchasing for them had a pool, which was a must for my mom because she's moving from the ocean. And she's moving to Texas. So that was her want, is she needed water. So not only do we have to consider what my dad's needs were, we had to consider what my mom's needs were, and she's healthy. So aging in place is not just aging for people who might have a medical condition that need to, be happy in their home, but also for the spouse or the caregiver, because they also have needs. So aging in place for both of them, and kind of putting into play what's important and what can we leave out. And then on top of that, they had an amazing garden. They have the best established garden for my dad, because as he's getting and progressing through his disease process, that's going to be a comfort and a coping skill for him. So that was important. As the OT walking around, I'm looking at how high are the planters? Are there steps down? I'm not just looking at the interior of the house, but the exterior. The first thing we're going to do next week when they finally take ownership is my husband and I are going to go build a deck over a couple of steps, so that way they won't fall and they can access different parts. So it's aging in place is kind of looking at the big picture, looking at what people need personally, but also physically. I think that's probably a good overview.
I think that's great. We may pick up some more about the assessment, but I think that was a great lead-in for Bill too. The width of the doors, the hallways, what do we do? I loved our visit a few weeks ago when you were here. There's some new, hardware to make it doors open wider, and so now how do you step in and help people with these modifications? Besides pull-up carpet, I know that's one of your big things.
Yeah, so everything that she said is exactly right. But those are the kind of conversations I have with most of our clients, right where they're at. And what I find out is most of the time people aren't really thinking about it, right? So you can go to the fire department and get a walker and get a wheelchair, and so sometimes I'll bring those in as props, and let's just see how this navigates through your house, just to show somebody, because a lot of people, they don't think about, well, that door's wide enough, but it's really not. And a lot of this I experienced with my own mother, because we thought about the fact that, Mom, I'm ripping all the carpet out. No, you're not. And I'm like, yes, I am. So we got the walker, and I said, okay, let's walk down the hall with this thing. And sure enough, it was getting stuck, and she was struggling with it, and I just said, look, I'll pay for it. I'm not even asking you to pay for it. I'll take care of this. But the point is that most people, not just my mom, but everybody is not thinking like that. They're not thinking, they're still thinking, in their mind, they're maybe only 20, I guess, because I'm the same way. And I'm thinking I could do everything, and I find out I can't. And, one of the biggest struggles is getting to that place and explaining the fact that, just don't think you can do everything. A big problem I have, or discussion I have with a lot of people is, well, I can take care of him. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. So you're now assuming the caregiver role. Do you know what that really means? And you have to have all the safety components for that person just as much as you have to have for the person you're taking care of. So everything that's been discussed here are the things that we bring up with everybody. It's really a candid conversation because it needs to be. There's no sales pitch going on with this. The real deal is understanding where you're at, what you know, what you don't know, and trying to help educate you with how, the best way to stay in your home. I don't know all the side effects of diseases, and that's where sometimes it makes sense to bring an occupational therapist in, because I don't know how diseases progress. I mean, I know I've learned about dementia, I've learned about Lou Gehrig's disease, I've learned about people that have retina issues and they're going blind, but I don't know all that stuff. But I do know, as I age, I need more light, right? So I look at those type of things as same thing we brought up earlier about, I find myself having to get up more often to go to the bathroom at night. Well, so I like having a motion sensor. When I get up to go to the bathroom, the light flips on and it's a toe kick light, so it doesn't light up the whole bathroom. So there's all these little features that you can add to create a really safe environment for yourself. So that's what we do. And so there's a lot of people that do this. I mean, it's hard right now. It's hard in this industry to really get good help because everybody's so busy. But I belong to the NARI, which is the National Remodeling Association. I also belong to the National Home Building Association. And so through those organizations, you can find people that help. But to what you brought up earlier, Virginia, you have to be passionate about this. And I think some of my passion comes from where I sit on Family Elder Care Board, because I've worked with elderly, because I've worked with my own mother, which was a real challenge because she was pretty stubborn, and we fought the whole time about it. And actually, what really allowed me to do a renovation in her house is she had a stroke. She came and lived with us for 7 months. And the last 2 months, she was like, I'm going home. I'm like, okay, let's find someone to help you out. Let's get an assisted living person, come into the house. Let's find them. I made her hire them because I knew if I did, then I would have been in trouble with that. So I let her hire the person. So I let her hire the person, and they came to my house for 2 months before she moved home with them. And so it just gave her a more level of comfort. But literally within 3 weeks of her moving home, she fired her because she said she's going through my stuff or whatever. She thought that she felt like she was being a little bit, anyway. So, and then 2 weeks after that, she fell and broke her hip. So then after she broke her hip, I passed the torch to my brother because at that point in time, she was fighting me too much. But while she was out of her house, I went in and made her a curbless shower, ripped the carpet out, did all stuff that she wouldn't let me do before. She came back to her house, and then she actually came to the realization that I can't do this anymore. I can't manage my house. So she went and she had the choice. We kind of said, well, look, you have all kinds of options here. You can go to assisted living, or you can go live with one of the kids. But I told her she couldn't come live. She couldn't move in my house unless she lived by my rules. So anyway, she went to live with my brother, and we just sold her house last week. My dad built it for her in 1969 for $70,000, and we sold it for $450,000.
Yeah.
So I think she feels more comfortable now. She's got more cash. She's living with my brother. But the point is, I think it's a struggle for everybody to want to stay in their house, keep their independence, be able to do all the things they want to do. And the goal really is to allow you to do that as long as you can. And I think it's important also to make sure you bring your family members in, and don't think they're wanting to take you out of the house. They're happy if you stay there. They just want to help you be safe.
So in the very beginning, Virginia was talking about actionable tips, right? You guys, actionable tips when you go home is really important. This is what I put in your little folders. But if you were to look at these first two, prioritize and go room by room. That's exactly what I do on the evaluation. I walk in and I tell people, take me through your daily routine. I want to know, what do you do when you first wake up in the morning? And then what do you do after that? How do you eat your breakfast? Where do you sit? Where do you do your crossword puzzle or your Sudoku? The things that you do every day. I have the people, when I do an evaluation, walk through from morning routine all day long to night routine. And by doing that, they take me room through room, and we look at how are they doing in each of those rooms. So this is a really simple way. Go room by room in your house when you get home. Pick one room. You don't even have to do multiple, like this afternoon or tomorrow. You know, whatever your favorite room is that you spend the most time in, just kind of sit down and look around as you're working through whatever it is that you're doing today. And think to yourself, what is hard for me? You know, is there anything that would make what I'm doing right now easier for me at where I'm at right now? And then look around again and say, in able to keep doing this, what do I need to do as I get older? Because that's also important, because that's your priority. What you're doing right then is important to you, so what do you need to do to modify your home and age in place to be able to keep doing exactly what you're doing? So that would be my actionable tip, as an OT today, is really pay attention to what is it that's important to you today that you're doing. Is there something that's making it a little hard for you that you can adjust? And what do you need to go into the future to be able to keep doing that?
That's what I'm thinking. So, she just made me think of something. So when my mom came to live with us, obviously, she had her stroke. The first thing that became a challenge was, her going to the bathroom. So one of the things that we do now in all of our projects is we put a plug by every toilet so that you can easily have the bidet installed. So when we're doing our projects, we just try to be proactive when we're doing remodels for people. The other thing was, every time she'd go to the bathroom, I'd say, Mom, did you use that bidet? Yeah, I used it. And so I'd go in there and I noticed that the toilet paper holder kept getting ripped off the wall. I said, Mom, are you using that to get up? No, not using it to get up. So one of the things, and they have some really awesome grab bar toilet paper holders. You would never know that it's a grab bar. So really what we do in all of our renovations, whether it's for aging in place or universal design, we block everything. We block the walls for grab bars, we block by toilet papers, just by toilet paper roll, everything that you can think of. And these things aren't costly at all. You just want to be proactive. And just like the point she's making about going to your house, it's so important. Light, being in the kitchen, all your movement, just start thinking about the things that are a challenge to you. And they don't have to be a big challenge. Opening a door, turning a knob, reaching something, all those things. The thing I can't stand is we come in most houses and every one of the kitchens, you have to open up those lower cabinet drawers, get on your hands and knees and pray that you can find something in the back of that cabinet. So almost everything today we design, we bring it to you. So all the drawers come out, everything should be brought to you. You shouldn't be struggling to dig and find anything. So those are the things that when she's talking about, when you're walking through your house, think about all the things that are inconvenient for you today, because it's only going to get progressive as you move forward, and it allows you to stay in that house as long as you can.
That's also a neat link to decluttering. While you're looking at what is it you really use in your kitchen. Are you still using those 3 crock pots? Are you still using those big serving dishes? So first step would be make accessible what you are using. And then you might want to think, well, maybe I should get rid of the other stuff. But having what you use readily available. You both in different ways have mentioned, with wheelchairs, I like what you said, going through and, we both mentioned going around the table. And Bill, when we met, you were saying that a while ago, you like to take in props. And, well, let's try this wheelchair and see what, you need approximately 5 feet. What did you say?
Well, no, the ADA spec is obviously, that's ADA, because that's mostly for commercial. They want you to have a 5-foot, 60-inch turning radius for a wheelchair. But, a lot of these wheelchairs, they've changed them a little bit. They don't have all the components sticking out. So I know that for my mom, we went to the fire department because they said they had surplus of this stuff when we brought it to the house. And we'll just see what this stuff looks like. They let you borrow it. So we went and did that. But it's really the door openings and it's turning.
What about those hinges you were talking about?
Yeah, so most doors are really not 3.0 doors, which is what you need, which is a 3-foot door. Most of them are 2.6, 2.8, some are 2 foot, they're pretty narrow. There's actually a hinge that you can put, there's a hinge that you can actually put on the jamb that actually, the whole hinge flips back. So if you ever look at a door, when you open it up, the thickness of the door is kind of where it stops, so you really don't have as much space as you think. This particular hinge takes the whole door and kind of moves it back. So you can keep it in the same door jamb. it just takes that door further back. The hinge does that. So those type of things that you can implement versus changing a whole door out. So
And they're not expensive.
they're not very expensive at all.
Yeah, they're relatively expensive.
So while Megan called attention to handouts, some others, and just go ahead, I want to make sure you take time to look at them. I know they're here, so you can look at them when you get home. Re-up is going to be great collections for us. We have 3 strategies for living longer in your home. Now this is just general, staying in good health, number 1. And we'll walk about one floor living. We already know what SBL, we'll talk about that in a minute with her in-laws. Get comfortable with technology. I think it's July. I think our seminar is about technology, and part of it will have to do with some of these things that can help us in our homes.
Can I ask that real quick? In your guys' handout, on the third page for this one, this Hartford guide, I have some over there that are driving, but if you're interested, you can pick it up. The Hartford has an entire booklet on technology and aging in place. So it goes step by step, which is a great resource, and the website is in here, but the Hartford has an amazing thing on technology.
That's great. We'll look into that too.
Yeah, there's some, especially like showers and things like that, really, you should be going in the shower to turn on the shower. You should be able to reach it with your hand and getting the preset temperature settings on shower controls. There's a lot of that stuff that's out there. I know that that was one of the things that we had to work with my mom a little bit. We got her she didn't want the call thing,
Yeah.
She
Life
fought me on wearing the life alert, and thank God she wore it because she was at home and she fell and broke her hip, but it took forever to get her comfortable with that thing, and then we got her what's the Alexis thing in the house, we got her that and started teaching her how to turn lights on and off with that, and just do some things that are pretty easy, but I think they're easy because I use them every day, and so it was us really taking time to educate her at her pace and make her feel comfortable with that. So
You might want to tell your kids that story. Take time to educate me at my pace. Not your pace. My son-in-law has explained our TV controls. Each time we get a little bit better. Yeah, okay, I know. Just be patient, okay. Other suggestions, another handout we had in here was low-cost options for aging in place. What are those little things that we can take care of? Now, many of you live in some city, and generally we already have those lever door handles rather than the knobs. And generally we have rocker switches. So those are some of the things. And some cities pretty good in the bathroom about grab bars, handrails, and so on. But there's a handout in here that just identifies some of those, and just like having utensils and kitchen things readily available. We got a little carried away. Brianna had fun finding resources. Then we had another one from AARP. It's a caregiving checklist. If you're going to be taking care of someone in your home, if you know what you're becoming, there's some checklists. So those are some things that you might want to consider for action steps.
And so the Age of Central Texas, I don't know if everyone's familiar with that organization. They are local, they're out of Austin, and they have a free donor closet where you can get shower chairs, wheelchairs, walkers. It is completely free. So that is another resource as far as like home equipment that you can get for little to no cost. So that's really important to know about as well.
And generally, Faith in Action here in Georgetown, they often have medical supply type assists like that. So our lecture, a good one. And I think one of the things that's interesting, we just have a hard time. I'm never going to need this stuff. I don't want to deal with it. But the ways we need it, that's often a challenge. Now, some of us, like I said, hip replacements and all that. So if we had the opportunity to be on a walker for a few weeks, it was a good eye-opener. A little bit harder to navigate from this room to that room than I realized. And so, it was a trial run. I don't want to repeat that. But, so I'm going to go to Eric in just a minute. But I think we're going to answer questions in a minute, but common things that ramps
you're gonna, I mean, obviously, you guys know, I mean, you want to keep things simple, right? So you don't want transitions if you can avoid them. You want to keep things level. So you want to, zero transitions is what you're kind of shooting for. You don't want trip hazards. You know, you want to be able to move around freely. So those are the basic things that you're looking for that are simple to adjust and modify. So just be aware of them. I mean, you live in your home, so you're kind of aware of the things that you might struggle with or that give you challenges, and that's the type of things you want to be looking at. Lighting is a big deal, though. I mean, lighting is another one of those big deals that you may not think of, but and that's why we put in motion lights, because it just made it easy. And so you don't need them everywhere, but you can put them in places where it's convenient so that you're not up at night, you know, because most of the times when you're waking up, you're probably half asleep. And you're searching around for a light, even though you know where that light switch is, you might still be searching for it. So motion lights are a good, simple solution to some of that stuff.
And I'm just gonna add to the lighting is they make different types of lighting. There's warm lighting versus cool lighting.
It complicates it so much when you're trying to buy light bulbs.
It does, but my favorites for people are the daylight light bulbs, the cool lights, because they don't give off the same shadows. And it's more of a natural bright light. So if you do need to replace some lights bulbs in the house, I would say go with a daylight light bulb. For women, it's a lot better to put your makeup on. Especially if you're putting it in your bathroom, you can put your makeup on and you know what you're gonna look like outside versus a dark house. So, but daylight light bulbs are always a great light bulb if you're
But
looking to
don't
switch.
climb up on a ladder to change your light bulbs. Somebody can help you. Okay, so I want to move on to Eric. So Eric, we've got these ideas. Oh, we all stepped out again. When you were talking about, bathroom seems to be one of the big things. And Brielle, who's my wonderful, wonderful assistant, her in-laws live in Illinois. Her mother-in-law's had lots of health challenges. So Brielle's husband went up there a couple years ago to
Microphone.
Yes.
a couple years ago, just to check on mom and help, and they had a 2-story house. She just couldn't get upstairs to the bathroom anymore where she was needing to stay downstairs. And so he, remodels the bathroom, could widen the door. I don't know if he tried the new hinges or whatever. But I thought, it's really nice if you have a son or son-in-law, women can do it too. A son and son-in-law would like to help out with some of these tasks. But be nice to them. Okay. Now, Eric, we had these great ideas that we'd like to do. I want to put in a new shower so it will be roll-in, it'll be safe, and I'm a veteran. Can you help me out?
Yes. Unfortunately, these programs are usually just for the veterans. But the VA has a housing adaptation program, and there's 4 grants available. The purpose is to allow veterans to stay in their homes and live freely and independent lives. The first grant I want to mention is the Home Improvement and Structural Alterations. If you are a veteran with 50% disability rating or more with a service connection disability, you can receive $6,800. If you have a non-service connected disability, you can receive a lower amount of $2,000. Some of the things that you can spend this money on is roll-in showers or walk-in showers, ramping to provide access to your home, winding doorways to the bedroom or bathrooms, lowering of kitchen or bathroom counters and sinks, providing improvement to plumbing or electrical systems made necessary due to installation of dialysis or other sanitary equipment. For veterans that have a permanent total disability of 100% rating, there is a larger amount that can be awarded to you. It's under the Specially Adapted Housing Grant, and you can receive $101,754 for this. There's certain eligibility requirements. One that comes to mind is like if you have the loss or a loss of ability of your legs. This is a qualifier. But unfortunately, the VA only awards 120 individuals with this grant per year. An easier grant to get is the Special Housing Adaptation. They will give you $20,387. With both of these grants that I mentioned, you have to have ownership in the house. If you do not have ownership and you live with like a family member, there is a separate grant. It is called the Temporary Residence Adaptation. And if you're living with that family member, you can get $7,318. These benefits, these are lifetime benefits. You can get it once. If you just need to draw like a certain dollar amount, you can apply for this up to 6 times until you reach that maximum.
So I would, and maybe the veterans here or families are all aware of these opportunities, but you know, I sure would encourage people to check with Eric in their office. I know, you know, some places say, oh, they don't come through. Well, but if you've got someone on your side to help navigate, it helps a lot. Okay.
I have something to add on to that.
Okay.
So as far as for those grants, okay, some of them you have to have a service-connected disability, okay, for our veterans, all right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be 100%, right, permanent total. But if you do have a service-connected disability, then you can apply for those grants. Going back to the special adaptation housing grant, all right, for that one, I know he stated as far as if you're not living there permanently or it's not your house of living or that you own the house, right? If you do live there permanently, and it goes back to answering your question earlier, right? If the veteran had sold a house and say the daughter owns a house now, right, they can still apply for the grant and it can be applicable towards it, right? Because that is their permanent house of residence, right? So it goes towards that. So it helps to apply for these grants, right? And you know, if you have any questions, come to myself or Eric. Eric's an awesome veteran service officer, right? So any questions that you have, you can answer those for you.
And I brought the paperwork with more information on these programs and the actual application that, you know, examples so you can look it over.
Go ahead too, you mentioned about assistance that can be available for care coming into your home. If you have someone coming in, is there
There is a caregiver program where your family member can be the caregiver and you can receive compensation for this. Right now, the program is under review and they've kind of done a pause on it. But
excuse me, we focus on Eric right now?
they're going to be making changes to it, so any day now they'll be putting out more information on it.
So here's a good resource for you.
What's the lead time on those? Like if you apply, I guess my question is, if you apply for one of these grants, what is the lead time to get that grant?
So you're going to want to be in the home that you have ownership in, and it takes, I saw up to 120 days for the program to pay. Because a lot of the thing is you're already established with the VA, you have a disability, so it's just processing the application and being approved for it.
Okay,
And no, sorry.
well, go ahead.
And to add on to that, it goes off of the fiscal year mostly, right? October timeframe, the VA grants or any kind of assistance. And to include prosthetics, right? They go off of the fiscal year. So, you know, mostly, but it's still, the application process can be a little bit strenuous or take some time. Right now with the VA, right, with the applications, they're a little behind, right? So that's why any veterans here, they'll send out notifications as far as letters or whatnot to let you know that, you know, your application has been received, but it's just a little bit longer.
All right, great resource. And so, let me open this up for questions. Oh,
Sorry, I wanted to talk a little bit about the financial aspect, because aging in place is expensive. It costs money. And so one of, I think, an area that you need to be aware of is having resources for professionals that can help you choose wisely in what you're putting in, how you're spending your money, and how whatever it is you're choosing to do is going to help you age in place is really important. There's nothing worse than having a contractor or, you know, a family member put a piece of equipment in your house that you've purchased and it's installed wrong. And it could be something as simple as you go and you put a grab bar in your shower because you need help standing up off your shower chair, but you put it in like horizontally to the floor where maybe it should have been on a diagonal. You know, it's not a big thing, but you've just put holes in your shower wall. It's not serving you the purpose, and you've just paid for either the install and the equipment. Where if you had someone that was knowledgeable and had the expertise in that, you just saved yourself money. Yes, you paid for the professional, but you're not having to redo it and fix the mistakes. So unfortunately, without being VA connected, you might not have those same resources, but the resources you have, you want to make sure that you're doing it wisely and having an expert or somebody that specializes in those areas.
Yeah, and her point is so valid. I mean, we're working with a client right now that just had her bathroom remodeled because her husband has some kind of, I don't even know what he has, but he's lost his ability to walk. And so we went in there just to help her widen some spaces, and I started looking at her tile floor in her shower and in her bathroom, and none of it's slip resistant. And so we're in there moving this thing around. I'm like, well, we're sliding everywhere. I go, is this slip resistant tile? Of course, she doesn't know, and sure enough, it wasn't. And she just spent a bunch of money redoing her whole bathroom. So those points are really valid. I mean, I know that everybody's afraid of, I don't know if everybody's afraid of professionals. The biggest thing about this, the biggest thing about this industry, you know, so I come from the corporate world, right? And I went to college and I became a professional. This industry in the state of Texas is totally non-regulated, totally. Mm-hmm. So I just have to put a sign on the side of my truck and I can be a general contractor. That's literally it. There's no barrier to entry. I mean, other than people that are in MEPs, which are mechanical, electrical, plumbing, like air conditioning, heating, and those people have to be licensed, but nobody else. So therein lies your challenge, and that's why you always want to at least go to NARI, go to the HBA, go find a reliable source before you purchase anything, especially if it's a big purchase item.
I have,
Dana, go ahead.
yes, thank you. I have a companion that I tote around, but
Besides his wife, his companion.
yeah. This one has wheels. And it's not, no more questions than right here. Point that I want to make on the grab bar in the shower, and I live in Sun City, and it does have an angle to it, but it does not have any, it's totally smooth. And I'm assuming that you can get some kind of adhesive type material that would help you. I fell the other day, and I fell because I slid down the help bar.
So, okay, so they're problem solving up here. You know, and I'm glad you mentioned it, Dan. We remodeled our bathroom in our previous home 2-3 years ago, and the smooth grab bars looked so attractive. The rough ones I didn't think I liked, but maybe that would have been good. Okay, but what were you all saying? Then this also brings up an interesting point. You were discussing the angle of the grab bar.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is about that particular one, was it done for you or was it there when you got there?
There.
Yeah, and that's the challenge sometimes, right? Because it's already a pre-existing condition. So you're trying to leverage it. You know, height has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
And as we age gracefully, we sometimes get shorter. And so there's all those things, and you know, that you need to take into consideration.
I want to make one more comment.
Okay.
When we have some doors, like in bathrooms, and they're private, we've taken the door off.
Yeah.
He was mentioning, especially near the water closets, and I know a lot of people, it drives crazy trying to get in and out and around doors. It's amazing how many of those doors get put up out in the garage or up in the attic. Then when we get ready to sell the house, we don't find it and put it back on there, so it maybe has broader general appeal. Bill, you mentioned that to me about, like, if someone makes these modifications and then they want to sell their home, you had a great recommendation.
Well, it really depends. I mean, first of all, that's a great suggestion to just take the door off, because it's your house. You really don't need 20 doors.
We don't have many nosy neighbors either.
Right. But I think that the story I think I told it was we were working with a client, and the husband had Lou Gehrig's disease, and you know, that's when I learned about how quick it could progress. And so my challenge was with the client was just not letting her do too much, because we knew we were going to turn it back to the way the house was before. So we basically, there was a toilet closet. You know, you got to get into a toilet closet and go around the door. So we basically just ripped the whole wall out and turned the toilet. You know, and then when he passed away, we just turned the toilet back, put the wall back. So, and the reason that I bring that up is because sometimes you don't have to do a massive remodel. You just have to do things that get you through whatever that may be, and allow yourself the ability to put it back the way it was. If it's a major change, but today, again, with universal design, really everybody's putting curbless showers in. So anymore, it doesn't make a house handicap or ADA compliant because it's a curbless shower. It's almost what everybody's doing today, and everybody's eliminating the obstacles. Most of the builders now, you know, they're ensuring that you're putting a 3.0 door going into a bathroom, not a 2.0. So you're really taking a lot of this.
3 foot, 2 foot, is that what you're?
Yes, a 3.0 door is a 3-foot door versus a 2.0 door, which they mostly put on closets, and you can barely get your shoulders through them. So a lot of that stuff is changing. But those are simple things that you can do, and just take the doors off.
Other questions, Mary?
Megan, I wanted to follow up. I think you started talking, Megan, about financial resources when you want to try to get professionals' advice. And were you going to continue that, or?
So as far as home evaluations from an occupational therapist, if you have a qualifying event, what is considered a qualifying event from Medicare standards? Because looking at the age range, I think everybody probably has Medicare. A qualifying event is when you have a 3-night overnight stay, then that qualifies you for a Medicare Part A. However, if you have something going on and you need to go see an outpatient therapist or having a home health therapist come in and your physician orders it and the occupational therapist is coming into the house, technically, if that occupational therapist is ordered and is being covered under Medicare Part B, that occupational therapist can then do a home evaluation because you are under that care of the occupational therapist. So that is a way for it to get qualified. Please don't go out and break a hip, so this can happen. But if you're already seeing it because, you know, your knee hurts or your back hurts and you're already under the care, they can do a home assessment and it can be covered by insurance from that aspect. Otherwise, most of it is out-of-pocket expense. As far as the evaluation goes, it depends on the person and the business. They usually charge either a straight evaluation cost, and it's usually anywhere from $100 to $300, or they may charge by the hour for however long they're there. Some occupational therapists contract with builders and remodelers, other ones kind of refer out. There is a new, and I will get this to Virginia because I can't remember it off the top of my head because it's pretty new. There's a new program that they piloted out of the Washington, D.C. area with occupational therapists, that there is a grant that's not VA related, and they're now expanding it nationwide. But it is relatively new and I can't remember, but what I'll do is I will text it and then they can bring it, or I can email it and then they can send it out to you in the follow-up email. So there are some grants, so I could definitely include that as well, because it gets expensive. And sorry, I just want to add one other thing. My part of aging in place is not just the home. It is, at some point, you're not going to be able to drive anymore. That's just the reality. Most people live 7 to 10 years past their driving age. So part of aging in place is, okay, well, I can't drive, whether it's for a short period of time or a long period of time. What am I going to do now? So not only do you need to plan financially to modify the house, but how are you going to get to doctor's appointments? How are you going to get your groceries, your food, and all of that? So when you're thinking about aging in place, in the back of your mind, consider transportation and community mobility as well, because that is also part of aging in place. And it's that really scary thing that nobody likes to talk about because nobody wants to stop driving. But I did want to put that in there.
And a good point here in Skyer with Faith in Action Spent that can help with driving. I know whether or not they're accepting new clients, it varies, and there are other sources too.
Okay. Thank you. Virginia, I just wanted, from a realtor standpoint, what is the dollar evaluation of converting to a more roll-in shower and removing the tub? What is that? Resale?
Bathrooms are one of the remodels where you generally come out best on. I mean, kitchens and bathrooms.
bathrooms, master suites, kitchens always have an ROI associated with it, so return on your investment. So you never really lose money whether you get rid of a bath and turn it to a shower. I mean, almost, I would say 90% of the homes that we work on today don't even have bathrooms. We're taking them all out.
They don't have tubs.
They don't have tubs, I'm sorry, tubs.
Yeah.
Forget about the bath and part.
Yeah.
But we're taking out the tubs and going into curbless showers.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so when you talk about adaptations, and this is one of these true story type things, I am a realtor. Walk-in tubs, where you can do the shower and walk in, they've improved a lot over the years. I remember several years ago I was showing a buyer, she just couldn't get past it. She didn't need it. It reeked of being handicapped. That's not me. And it was really, and I could see her point. I checked into, okay, how much is it going to, because otherwise we love the house and the location. And what would it cost to take it out? And so I kind of squirmed sometimes about that. So sure enough, this year I was listing a house. It had a walk-in tub. I was a little nervous about that because what does that communicate to people? This was a very nice one, and they have improved a lot over the years. And I loved it. We came up with this great, they shared with me the literature about it. So, I decided to make lemonade out of potential lemon and just, hey, look, you already have your spa here and, and it's in this market. It's a better time to sell houses too. That was not a problem for us, but sometimes in houses, it's a problem. I'm going to bring up, which I may regret that I bring up, but when we talk about other sources of money to help us sometimes with, if we were to need to do more of a major desire to, also if someone is remaining in their home, but perhaps the spouse is moving into a community and it's going to be an expense. There are reverse mortgages, and I know some of you just freaked out, so come back. You want to be very careful. But they can be a resource to help people through some different times. If you're interested, check with me, and I had some people, but I know they had bad rep, and there were a lot of problems early on. But it is a time, but it can be a source of money, but you got to evaluate everything carefully. Okay, other questions? Don?
Bill, you mentioned the life alert system.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be able to get in the door to get to it. The solution to that is a Knox box. We've got one, it hasn't been used, fortunately, and it's well less than $500. You go through your fire station.
Yes.
The key to the house is in there. The first responders have a key to get into the box.
That's a great point.
Knox box, and I think I have, well, anyway, but yes, we've had people work through our fire department. It is a very secure, but in case of an emergency, if you're in the house, I fall and I can't get up, commercial, and then people can, or if someone has not heard from you, the first responders do have limited access. So thanks for sharing that. Other questions? Gary?
I have a question for Eric. You're talking veteran services. Are there qualifications? Are we talking active military, retired military, or just service military? And are spouses included as well?
It's mainly for the veteran that has a disability, and the disability is usually established through the VA. If you're going to a VA hospital, the providers can refer you to these grants and help you apply for it too. But it's for active duty or retired, just anyone that has a military-connected disability would qualify.
So there has to be a disability.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right. Then also, isn't there, oh no, I'm gonna stop with that. Question I was gonna say is, if a widow, are there some times when they can get some assistance from the VA if their husband was, or the spouse.
So there is a program called the DIC, and it's compensation for the widow if the veteran passes away due to the service-connected disability. That's the qualifier. Also, widows that have minimal finances, if they fall below 18,000 of a yearly income, the VA will give them a pension that would qualify for a pension.
So, possible resources there. Other questions? Yes,
Long-term care insurance.
I knew there was coming, okay.
Yeah, in-home, and they're talking about money.
Yeah, money. Long-term care, that's one of those interesting dilemmas that varies a lot. And we're going to have, next month when we're talking about downsizing with challenges, one of our panelists has had a lot of experience with long-term care, and I think she first said, oh yeah, I can talk, and I said, well no, you may not want to just set yourself up to answer all of those questions. But if you want, we have some people who might be able to, every policy is different, that's the challenge. Reading the fine print of what will be covered or won't be covered under what conditions. We have a group that will often help people understand that. I don't know, if your experience, Megan, you don't come into terms of it. Okay, stay tuned, we need more information on long-term care, okay? Yeah. Other questions? Okay. All right, now, yes.
Yeah, the opposite of what you're doing here. We're talking about living at home. Physically, there certainly is something that we're all interested in, but the mental, spiritual, living in community, all of that, depression, etc.
Hey, thank you very much. We did focus this one on, is your house ready? Just trying to narrow it down.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, besides safety, my biggest concern is what about the social interaction? What about the stimulation? What about the engagement? Personally, I just, I'm going to stay in my place, and then, a beautiful lady, her husband passed away several years ago. She was saying she was fiercely independent, and she said, I don't get out as much as I used to. And I don't have anybody to have my 4 o'clock wine with. It's kind of lonely. But, no, I can't move to a community because I can't give up my independence. And that's where I wanted to say more. I tried to be tactful. But are you truly independent, And you were so right, the importance of activities, engagement, and we weave that throughout the seminars. And so I'm glad you asked, because I didn't say it first, you brought it up. And our friends at the Wesleyan, and yes, when we have people like Visiting Angels come in, that helps, there are some great resources from age. There's some neat, you can interact and telephone, they do all kinds of games and, set times. But you were so right. Get your home ready, get it safe. Know how you're going to have care. Know how you're going to have meals. But what are you going to do to keep your mind active and stay engaged? So that's something that's going to be woven out. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you, because that hit home with what I was saying about the transportation part of it, and being able to access. I'm an occupational therapist. I do this for a living, and I've been on my parents about aging in place and what was their plan, and I just picked out a house for my parents sight unseen for my mom. I mean, that's terrible, aging in place. I will be the first to admit that. Part of aging in place and staying social and having those connections is my parents moving across the country because I'm their support. My husband's a physical therapist, and they've realized that their aging in place plan is to be closer to us, 1, because we're family, and 2, we're professionals. We're going to be able to assist with that. Did she ever want to live in Texas? No offense. Everybody's born and raised in Texas. I've been here for 12 years. I love Texas. But that was not, in her mind, an aging in place plan for her. But my father and what's going on with him changed that. And like they were saying, is plan A and plan B. So part of aging in place is considering the social and the caregiver support and the family support and the social interaction. Now that they've got a contract under their house, they're super excited because they're gonna go to my kid's sports practice. And I can be a transportation assistant for my mom, for my dad who can't drive anymore. She's stuck with my dad. She loves him to death. They've been married for who knows how many years. But that's all of her social support right now. He's driving her crazy. So part of their aging in place plan is moving here where myself and my kids and my husband can go in and step in and give her some of that respite and that care for my dad. So like you said, that it's the big picture, it's the social, it's the emotional, the cognitive. And for my parents, it's moving cross country. For people here, it's maybe connecting with a broader group, or if you're going out and seeing friends, talking to your friends and saying, hey, when I can't go anyplace, what are we gonna do then? And maybe already starting to Zoom call all your friends so you figure out how to do it. COVID's been great because we had to learn that. So I do, some good things have come out. Yeah, there is a silver lining to COVID is you can have groceries delivered now. People who never thought they'd get on a computer and Zoom call, I'm sure all of you have now figured it out. Maybe not the best, but you've at least had experience with it. So there's some good things that have come out of COVID.
Dan.
I apologize for doing so much in the way of conversation. One of the things that my social wife has for me is a calendar that's common to both of us.
Yes.
And that calendar has yellow for my needs and everything scribbled for her needs. But the calendar is normally in the place that we've agreed on. And I check it each day, check it each night to know what appointments I've got, etc. It's a very, very good access.
And part of that too, and I know you're still active, you're active in the choir, and you're out and about. But being intentional with staying active, and a couple Brielle and I work with a lot. She's in our downsizing club. Her husband's had health challenges, so that he's in a motorized car, and you see these, declining. And so she said over the years, she had been very careful about planning ahead for social engagement, bringing friends over and keeping him very engaged. It's getting a little bit harder now. And so then she's wondering if there may need to be some changes made. You're right, the caregiving role, and this will come up again next month too. Caregivers, you're taking on a lot, we tend to say a lot of responsibility, yes, but it's your own health we have to be concerned about. Too many times, as caregivers, people get overdone, stressed, and physically they can't do it because they are so focused on caring for the spouse, and they end up with health challenges. And then we have a real problem if we're both at home. So we just have to, set limits, and even though we love the spouse dearly and we want to care for them, we need support along the way, whether it be breaks. And of course, one of the things that was not a silver lining in COVID was with some of the friends at the worship place and some of the other special programs for dementia. And I know he was, that Thursday morning, that's my time to go to the store, or my time to, my time. Well, unfortunately, I don't think those have resumed yet. So it's been a harder isolation for some people. Okay, so, and I want to thank our panelists, say thank you very much. And then we'll be over at the tables to answer more questions. So what I do want to remind you of is what are your action steps? You might want to do an evaluation of your home and think about, pets are always another interesting one too, to avoid cooking hazards as much as we love our pets. And then in your packet you had the half sheet of yellow for feedback about the seminar and how you heard about it for newbies And then on the back, we had some questions. If you would like to be registered for the next seminar, which is one of the action steps, please put your name on the sheet. Every once in a while, Brielle gets these feedback sheets. Yes, register me for the next seminar, but there's no name. Now, Brielle is very good, but she's not a mind reader for 50 people. And if you want more information about the Downsizing Club, visit with me over at the Seniors Living Smarter Services table. And if you do see, I need to start thinking more about getting ready to downsize. I might be thinking about this. Feel free to give me a call. I would love to visit with you. And it's a consultation. Because too many people shut down because it's so overwhelming. It does not need to be that overwhelming. There's support available to you. So we just like to remind people of that. But I want to thank you for coming. Drink lots of water, stay cool. And I hope one of your parents moving, Megan, with our 100-degree weather?
Well, they're in New Jersey, so it's colder there.
I know, my problem is when are they moving here?
Oh, yeah, they close on their house in the 26th, so 2 weeks. Yes.
So, okay, well, we hope it cools. All right, so hope to see you next month when we talk about aging with differences. And thanks again to you for being here.